We don't see you though.
Yeah, somehow I don't see David.
Click your video.
Oh, here.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we got 4. All right. 7:02. We should start.
Yeah.
All right. Good evening. Welcome to today's design review commission meeting. Today is Wednesday, February 3rd, and so this is a public hearing. And if any member of the public would like to speak and comment during the public hearing, please raise your hand to the host first. And if the host allow you to speak, you have 3 minutes. And before we continue, I would like to establish a quorum, and I'll call the commissioner's name by the order I see on my screen. Commissioner Harding.
Here.
Commissioner Keurig.
Here.
Commissioner Blockus.
Here.
And myself. So we have 4 out of 5. So we do have a quorum for tonight's meeting. We have 2 items on today's agenda. The first one is on the consent calendar, which is the to approve minutes from last meeting from January 20th. Does any commissioner have any question or would like to make a motion?
So moved, we adopt.
Any second?
Second.
Oh, you are muted. Okay, I got second.
Second. Yeah.
He was
All right,
chewing.
so all right. I'm gonna call each one to vote. Again, Commissioner Harding.
Aye.
Commissioner Keurig.
Aye.
Commissioner Blockus.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Motion approved, 4-0. Thank you. Move on to next item on the discussion today. Tonight's discussion item for 789 Romando Avenue. Can I have the city staff do the presentation, please?
Thank you, Chair Ma. I took this project over from Ellie, who left the city. I don't really have much in the way of a presentation. The DRC has already given direction on this project. However, and you will note in my staff report, when we were all meeting in person, if a condition was added to a project, normally if we were all in the room, an applicant would be able to approach the podium and, if recognized by the chair, ask for clarification or discuss the additional condition. But in a virtual world, that's kind of challenging to do. Probably moving forward, I will ask the commission to do that if a condition is added, just out of respect and courtesy to the customer. In this instance, the applicant, there was a condition added and the DRC did go immediately into deliberation, and he did not get an opportunity to comment. So that's something we can definitely, like I said, moving forward, we can learn from. So I thought it was appropriate to bring it back, allow the applicant to share his comment or concern, and then the DRC can make its final decision. I would point out we are missing Commissioner Bishop. So per the city's planning commissioner handbook, you do need 3 votes of the commission tonight out of the 4 to make a decision of the body. So that's just the initial presentation.
All right. Thank you, Guido. Is the applicant present would like to come up and speak, or the owner?
Yes, he can unmute him, or I can unmute.
Yes, Commissioner, I am here.
All right, go ahead.
I'm here as well.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I would just like to address the commission about the 8-foot versus 9-foot plate height that was discussed in the last meeting. I've read the neighbor comments, and if you look at these homes, the two homes that are on Raimundo have 26-foot plate heights. At a 9-foot plate height for the second story on this property, it reaches 25 feet 3 inches. So the two homes that are across the street are both higher, and the 20 plus homes in the area are all over 26 feet. And this home with a 9-foot plate would be 25 feet 3. So I'm not quite sure why I, as a homeowner, would be adversarially impacted by that. There's pictures here of the screening of the trees. I had a picture taken from the second story or on top of the roof of the neighbor's yard, and you can see there's considerable screening of trees, so you can't even see the house that directly is behind 789 Raimundo. The 4 houses that are directly behind 789 Raimundo are all 26 feet high or higher roof lines, and those are directly on the neighborhood street. So this 8-foot versus 9-foot plate height absolutely affects me adversely because it affects my resale value. I paid a lot of money for this house, and there's going to be 8-foot doors on the entire first floor, and I won't be able to. I'd have to put 6'8" doors on the second floor with an 8-foot plate height. So I would really ask the commission to consider this. I'm not quite sure why, with 900 feet above and this so far set back from the street line with mature trees in the front and fruit line trees that line the backyard that are going to grow more in the spring and summer. I'm not quite sure who this impacts. It really doesn't impact any neighbor. It only impacts me as a homeowner. And it impacts my value. It impacts my standard of living. And I would ask the commission to reconsider this 8-foot versus 9-foot plate height, because I really don't think it has anything to do with massing or anything. It's 1 foot 9 inches below the light plane that's allowed at 27 feet. And there's considerable houses in the area on these 3 streets, Raimundo, Vista Grande, and Arroyo. They're all over 26 feet. And this is 25 feet 3 inches, again, with the 9-foot plate height. So I'd really like to understand why I'm being singled out here as somebody that's trying to build a second level, just like 20 other houses in the area, but somehow I can't build a 9-foot plate height.
And I did put together some, Guido, you pulled it up just for a second there. I do have some pictures to kind of go over what Glenn was talking about. So this front rendering does show a 9-foot plate height. And if we can go through. So here are the setbacks. You guys have seen this before, commissioners, but here are the setbacks, just showing the distances from the front setback as well as the back property line. Just showing that we're obviously very far out of the required setbacks, and then also set back from the first level as well. Here are all the trees that Glenn is referring to. We understand that a lot of them are fairly small at this point, but as they continue to mature, there will be quite a large level of screening from those trees. And then I know part of the last DRC meeting, there was talk about putting a fence on the, new fence on the back, and that was something that Glenn had agreed to as well. Next slide, Guido, if that's okay. Here are some front renderings from the street, just showing the difference between the 8-foot and the 9-foot plate height. We just kind of wanted to show the difference. So there's little more visual representation of what's going on. Because of the large setbacks, we feel like the massing doesn't have as much of an impact with just a 1 foot difference. And then also, like Glenn was mentioning, thankfully, this property has a lot of mature trees in front that help to create a little bit more screening, where if we go to the next slide, the 2-story houses in the area, a lot of them don't have those mature trees, so there's not that landscape screening from the front. So we feel like the 2 stories in the area do present as much, if not more, mass than what we are presenting with a 9-foot plate height. We tried really hard to break up any 2-story faces by setting the 2nd story back. So we did try and work with the masses just to eliminate any, but we also hope that the landscape helps as well. And then again, this is just showing the dimensions that Glenn was talking about. We're at 25 feet 3 inches. Based on the other 2 stories in the area, they're about 26 feet. So we are under that 26 feet compared to the other houses. And then we are under the 27-foot allowance per the planning regulations for the allowed height. And then this is that back. There was concern about the porch on the back. So we included some additional pictures of the view of where that back balcony would be. So again, as those smaller trees on that back property line mature, there will be additional screening to help add privacy for the back neighbor. And then again, the fence that was a part of the conditions of approval previously is something that Glenn said that he was willing to do as well. So commissioners, if you guys have any questions, we're more than happy to answer them. And we hope that we can get approval for a 9-foot plate height on the 2nd story.
I have a question, Chairman.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate the neighborhood survey, but there's only 2-story homes on Raimundo. And you showed one, which is an older home, and I believe it both has 8-foot plate heights on the 1st and 2nd story. And there's one new home that I was involved with, and I'm sure, I don't know exactly what the plate heights, but do you know what the plate heights are at 766 Raimundo? The new home?
I don't. I was trying to go back through the commissioners or through the DRC meetings to see if I could find anything. I got the 26 feet from the original presentation that Eliana had put together. So, and then for the other presentations, so when we're doing the neighborhood study, we have to do anything like directly aside of our property and behind. So that's why we included all of the 2 stories in the neighboring streets rather than just on Raimundo. But I don't know what any of those plate heights are exactly.
Okay. And one other question regarding the section of the home. Was there any, it's showing flat ceilings on your sectional drawings? Have you considered both on the 2nd story?
On the 2nd story?
Yeah, 9.0 flat ceilings, is that correct?
As of right now, yes, we're looking at flat ceilings. So Glenn, you can talk more about if you're willing to do a vaulted ceiling. But as of right now, we're looking at the flat ceiling.
Okay, so there was discussion on vaulting the ceiling?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I got muted. Any other commissioners' question? Sam?
None here.
David?
Nope.
Okay, I got a couple questions. I know there are, you guys did some neighborhood study, and also there are two existing two-story houses on the street. And how far, have you counted how many houses? How far are those two-story houses? Are we talking about 2, 3 houses away, or are we talking about 6, 7 houses away, or even more?
So the newer one is kind of kitty corner. It's not directly across the street. It's kind of across the street and down a house. And then there is 2 or 3 two-stories directly behind the property. And then, Glenn, I'm not sure how far away, if you can talk more on that, you know, the street better.
Yeah, the two-story house that's across the street is 3 houses down
Okay.
and across the street.
Okay.
And just one thing to note, we've talked about Raimundo and we've talked about Arroyo, Vista Grande, and Raimundo, and all 3 of these streets are considered one area under an original plat. So Raimundo, Arroyo, and Vista Grande are all considered the same area, and they all have 100 by 175 lots. So it doesn't really make sense to single out Raimundo versus Vista Grande and because they're all the same. They're all the same area.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. That's all the question I had.
Thank you, commissioners.
All right. So before we move on, I'm gonna open for public to the public comments. Anyone from the public, Widow? Anyone raise their hands?
I'll just go down the row. So I believe Nancy is the first one listed. So go ahead, Nancy.
Hi there. Thank you, commissioners, for reconsidering this. Hopefully you've had a chance to read the letter from the neighbors. And I now understand why the applicant specified undetermined height. It's a great negotiating tactic. He's hoping that you will compromise to 9 feet plate height, which is his original request. The DRC set the plate heights at 8 feet because in the DRC's words, a 9-foot plate height makes the house look like a box on top of a box. Please keep the plate height at 8 feet so the house will be comparable to the other 2 houses. And let me clarify a couple of things. The newer 2-story house is across the street and 1 house over, as Rachel said. The other one is on the same side of the street, but maybe 4 houses down. And Glenn, just so you know, Raimundo has prided itself on being an individual within Montebello Acres. We've kept our 40-foot setbacks. We've kept our 2 stories to very limited. So we have really prided ourselves in being a little bit different. And commissioners, to remind you again, we have a 40-foot front setback. On 766 Raimundo, the house that you all maybe remember, what they did with their 2nd story is they kept it at 8 feet plate height, and they pushed the 2nd story back, and they pushed their setback back to, I want to say, 46 feet. And that's not anything that has come up with this. And so what we are asking, again, is an 8-foot plate height comparable to the other 2 stories in the neighborhood. Let's not mix in Arroyo and Vista Grande. Raimundo, that's what we are asking for. And I don't think that that is too much because it is comparable with the other 2 stories. So we hope you will continue to think that way as well. Thank you for the time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Anyone else from the public?
One second, Chairman. I'm just trying to. Glenn, Joel, and Carol. Let me unmute them. Joel and Carol, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, I absolutely sign on to the fact that I believe it should be an 8-foot height. The fact that the house, the gabled section on the second story does protrude. It does look very overbearing for the whole design. And helping it by 1 foot is a help. I mean, if it's going to be that steep gable, then let's keep it at 8 feet. Also, the picture that was taken that shows from his roof line to our backyard, I'm not sure why he can't see our house, because I can see his very clearly. And I could not see any house in that picture. The trees that line the backyard are fruit trees, and if they are properly cared for, they should be pruned on an annual basis and not allowed to go wild. That being said, I don't believe there's going to be a great deal of screening back there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Chair Ma, I believe that's everybody here.
Okay, all right. So at this time, we'll close the for public comments, and we will start discussion with the commissioner, among the commissioner. Who would like to start? Commissioner Blackus, you wanted to start? You're
Unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me get my unmute. Yeah, I still think the second story looks too large on the top, especially the front part popping out. I don't see where, well, in my prior tenure with DRC, pretty much most of the time, given any particular neighborhood, it was at most 9 foot on the first floor and 8 foot on the second floor. Especially considering this particular neighborhood that most of the houses are smaller size and scope. I feel it makes it look a little bit overbearing relative to the other houses. And I do believe that the 766 Raimundo was a 9 and an 8. I just look at the second story, it just appears too big, too much mass.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Blackus. Commissioner Turek?
A request for staff to put the images of the old and the new for the architect, designer to put those back up on the screen.
Guido, I can share them if you need me to. I have them readily available.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Let's see, am I allowed to share?
Yep.
Let's see, it's not letting me share, Guido. Oh, here we go. Never mind. I jinxed it. Okay. Commissioner Kirk, what image would you like to see?
Do you have one that side-by-side comparison? There. Hard to. Yeah, these images aren't really clear, but anyhow, getting back to the discussion at hand, I was involved in the 766 discussion. I am well aware of Raimundo identifies itself as a unique street, holding the 40-foot setback and primarily a single-story characteristic of the neighborhood. The outlier up to this time was the older home closer to Springer, I believe, and that was an old addition or that was done long ago, which have the shorter plate heights. But anything going forward, it was heavily scrutinized. And this is a home, once again, much along the lines of, other homes and other neighborhoods that we see, that a way to help mitigate the visual impact, and what we're talking about is the visual impact, is to reduce the plate height on the second story to 8 feet. And when properly used in conjunction with vaulted ceilings, the home looks, in my opinion, well balanced and more nestled into the roof line. So couple that along with the visual impact on the neighbors behind and on either side, as well as helping preserve the streetscape of Raimundo. That's why I proposed the shorter plate heights, because I firmly believe it's a more attractive house, better proportion. And I'm sure the applicant can get 7-foot doors. They could even get 7'6" doors if they want taller doors or windows. But I kind of like the way it looks right now as designed, with the shorter plates and the windows as sized. So I'm going to stick by my recommendation for the 8-foot plate height.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Carrick. Commissioner Harding?
Yeah, I like the 8-foot as well, and the 24-3, just in this up and down front exterior elevations. The 24-3 is a better visual portrayal of the house than the one above. So I'm in favor of keeping the 24-3.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah, for myself, I agree all with other commissioner. Compare side by side as the image presented by the architect. The 8-foot plate look a lot more proportional. If you look at the second floor window, the 9-foot plate, the window look elongated. Can someone mute it? I heard some background noise. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, and then besides, this is a gable, not a hip. So the visual impact on the front facade from the second floor has a much significant, impact than a second floor with a gable roof. With the gable, it's much more significant visual impact. The neighborhood, I'm considering, I understand that you include the adjacent street, Vista Grande and Arroyo, but we are just try to focus on this street, the compatibility with the adjacent view. Those houses are too far away, half a block away, or at the end of the block, that's too far. And then you mentioned about before I go there, also looking at the 9-foot plate, the edge of the top roof is touching the daylight plane. Looks like there's a little overlap on the daylight plane anyway, so it's obvious too tall. Last one, I know you mentioned about the value of the house. For me, the value of the house, it's also, you need to consider as the part of the neighborhood, as the compatibility, how the house blend in. And also, for the value of a house, if you look at the house from the outside, if it's top heavy or out of proportion, I don't think that's going to add to the house value, And then my last one is that you can compensate the height from the inside, like what Commissioner Carrick said. You use a vaulted ceiling, tray ceiling, any kind of ceiling, you can easily raise the ceiling height back to 9 feet from the inside, by taking some of your space from the attic. So that's an easy solution. And based on what I remember, for the project we approved on the second floor, I don't remember at least this type of, with the pitch roof house, we never approved any second floor with a 9-foot ceiling or 9-foot plate. So that's what I have. So yeah, I agree that the 8-foot plate is a much better, proportion and everything. So here, I know that last time Guido mentioned that since we are using the Zoom, you guys, the applicant doesn't have the traditional way of rebuttal. So now I'm giving you a chance to speak from the applicant and the architect. So please go ahead if you would like to speak.
Yes, I have nothing to add. I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Based on this, any commission would like to make a motion? Commissioner Eric?
Well, do we need, I mean, we voted on what is the motion for? To maintain the approved recommendations from the Design Review Commission?
Yes.
Okay, so I move to, I don't have the staff number. Hold on a second here.
SC 200004.
Okay, yeah.
Affirm the decision of the January 6th DRC meeting. So.
Right, okay, so yes, I move that we affirm for item number SC 20-0004, the addition at 789 Raimundo Avenue. I move that we affirm the DRC's recommendation from the prior meeting and deny the request for a 9-foot plate and move forward with the 8-foot plate height.
Okay, any second?
Second.
All right, I'll call for vote. Commissioner Harding? You're muted.
Aye.
Commissioner Blockus?
Aye.
Commissioner Carrick?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Motion approved 4-0. Thank you. All right, let's move on. Any reports and comments from commission for the general discussion?
I just want to thank Guido for last night when we met with, I'm not sure how much we can talk, but just to say that I feel like you represented our ideas well, and that I thought it was a good meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Guido.
I was hoping, I don't have any items for the February 17th meeting, but I was hoping we could talk on March 3rd, just about what the DRC heard. And, there was 8 potentially to work on, but there's only one of me. So I was hoping I could get some direction from you guys for maybe the 1 or 2 top 2 or 3 things I could work on the next 6 to 9 months. So if we could do that on March 3rd, that would help me out.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually have a question, Guido, on those items. I don't know the procedure. If I have should I just bring on a open discussion? There's a personal input when all the commission are present. Let's say next time, or the next month when Frank Bishop is Commissioner Bishop is available, or should I just email you some of my comments regarding those items? Or either way is fine.
I mean, either way, I probably would prefer if this stuff gets aired out in a public meeting just for transparency, and then I can get direction from the commission that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, then let's wait till next one, or when all commission are here.
Yeah.
Then we can talk
Michael
further
and
with detail.
Guido, you have feedback, so whatever you say is repeated a half second later.
Oh, I think. Okay. Hear me now?
Oh, it's better. I think it's better now, because I think you maybe were too far away from the
Yeah,
microphone.
maybe I went too far.
No, it's still happening.
Okay. Yeah, so if we could talk on March 3rd, one thing I'm hoping I can get some direction from the commission on is I really want to make people start putting notice of development proposal out in front of their property as soon as possible. I really don't like it where somebody gets a notice a week before the meeting and then all of a sudden they're really upset. So I'm really hoping we can get some more community outreach early on. So,
Okay. All right.
I agree.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Some of the commercial projects, I see the placard out for months.
Right.
So I know, the timeline may not be months on the residential side, but boy, the sooner you can get up, the sooner, the
Yeah.
better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if we can all maybe agree to that, and then I can rewrite the policy, and then we can start doing that soon. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Good.
Good. All right. Okay. So if that's all, then I'm gonna adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will see you guys on March 3rd.
All
Okay.
right.
All right.
Everyone be
All
well.
right.
Get your shot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
If we can.
Yeah.